Hey guys, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I'm your host, Dean Harrison. As always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How are you, buddy?
Hey man, I'm doing great.
We're bringing you this podcast to give you the boots on the ground knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis, Tennessee. Please like and subscribe to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate wherever you listen to podcasts, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We're having a lot of fun on TikTok. Show sponsor are listed on your screen below. We would not be able to do this show or run our own rental business without these guys. Triumph Construction, River City Title, Corland Financial, Crestcore Property Management, and Will Griffin with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer. I help buyers and sellers every day. If you guys have any questions, you want to get a buyer profile filled out and receive the daily houses, dean@crestcore.com. The real hot thing now is to move property and sell it. If you've got a house you want to sell, dean@crestcore.com. I'll be happy to give you a valuation and get you going there. Hey, man.
How you doing?
How are you?
Yes.
So this is our annual ball. This is our today's podcast is our winter formal. It's our prom.
It's our Super Bowl.
it's our
everything,
Super
man.
Bowl. It's everything that we do.
Yeah.
So we're excited to bring this to you today. Zip code breakdown. Today we're going to spend more time than we usually do on the air recording, but we're going to go straight through it. We're going to break these down for you too. If you have questions about separate zip codes later on, we reach out and I can help you there. But we're going to discuss our zip codes. We do this every year in August. And we go through and just talk about each of the investor locations. I actually go through some of the areas that are not investor locations as well. So, I mean,
cool.
There's a combo of all of it, but let's get started.
Okay.
We'll dive right into it. And
on.
we go kind of around the world here for our county map. So if you look on your screen now, you've got your map. We're going to start with 38127. It's one of our most popular investor zip codes. We've got Nike plants up there. We have Amazon plant up there. We've got all kinds of jobs, commerce. I mean, from a rental standpoint, I would say it is our most sales activity zip code. So in July of 25, this is an annual or a 6-month up check-in kind of a where we're at this year versus last year. So last year, 2025 in July, we had 70 sales in Frayser, 1,272 square feet. Average price was about $91,000. This year, in July, at the end of July 2026, we had 79 sales, a little smaller square feet, but $93,005. So we bumped up a little bit in our average sales price there.
Yeah, and that zip code was one of the first in the city.
Yep.
When the suburbs came, I should say. And so the year built of these houses about 1963, so north of downtown, and there's about 40,000 people living out there making about $38,000. And we use that rule of thumb for a third of your income as rent. So about $1,000 rental. So if you look, that's at that purchase price. That's about the the 1% rule that you're seeing. Only 13,000 parcels out there, but they're 3-bedroom, 1 bath. So it's just great. Solid, I guess I would say this is like and look at that picture.
Yeah. Good looking house.
That's a good looking house. That's a solid brick house and probably a 3-1, maybe a 3-2 that you're going to see up there in Frayser.
It is, like I said, one of our most popular. My only caveat in the area is I stay out of North Haven. I personally, and I don't send them out. And what that means is anything west of Highway 51 and 38127, I don't typically send to you guys. Tougher tenant base. Not as many jobs in commerce as you get closer to the river. As you can see, it bumps right up to the river there. So anything west of Highway 51 is my only
limited
caveat.
Economic activity.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. There's just not a lot going on over there. So the tenant base drops and the quality of the community pride drops a little bit, which means turnover, just tough tenant base, and it's just harder to make it work. So west of 51 and 38127, I say is a no-no. Anything east and it's brick, it's good. It rents well. It's popular. It's in demand. You see there, you can get right on the interstate there and get anywhere. Great.
Good.
All right, 38127. Let's move over to 38128. Raleigh. I grew up here as a kid near Craigmont High School, so I'm very familiar with this area. It was at the same time they were beginning to develop 38116, they started 38128, but this was moving out east. And you mentioned 38127 was kind of the first suburb. Well, the second was, 38128 and 116, but 128 was moving out east in July. At the end of July of 2025, we had 39 sales there, 1,300 square feet, $142,000. At the end of July in 26, we had 53 sales, 1,500 square feet, but we're dropping price. We had a good drop in there in Raleigh in price, and it's, I don't know if that's state of the union necessarily versus what's available and what people are selling. Meaning, if you've had a house here in the last 6 to 8 months that has been needing rehab or needing to sell it, I'm not shocked to see. They've probably sold it, so I'm not shocked to see this drop.
Yeah, I hear you. That house right there looks great, and that's pretty typical. Kind of in that what was selling last year for 140.
Yeah.
There's about 43,000 people there. Again, as you just mentioned, when the suburbs came, there was that big Firestone plant in 38127 in Frayser, and then those houses were built in 63. Now these were built in 73. So as people moved out, they were getting a little bigger house, a little newer house. So it's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath compared to the 1 bath. And the square footage went from an average of 1,300 to the average in Raleigh is about 1,550. So that's kind of what you're seeing in these sales in 26. So it's about 1,550 on the square footage. So based on the population and the income, the rental out there is about $1,200, which is what we see for that 1% rule. So say the rent's $1,200, and then you're looking at $125,000, which is right on the 1% rule for 26. So
yeah,
just what you're used to.
Makes sense. And we're getting burrs. I see burrs out there all the time. So there's more activity in Raleigh. There's different activity in Raleigh than there is in Frayser, but they're similar, kind of the same. Just but like what you said, they're getting that half bath, that second bathroom, and just a little bit larger house. I think
this is more time stamped for today, that our rents peaked and have plateaued and maybe even come down a little bit as we've had some economic challenges, which is why some of the sales price, because that's a lot of a rent to price ratio that people are looking at on that 1% rule. So if it was 1,400 and now it's 1,250, they're going to come down a little bit.
Raleigh Springs Mall used to be the center of 38128. They have now demoed the mall. It's turned into a government facility and jobs. And but I like to mention this. It's really good research, and I hate to steal someone else's, but I'm going to. So at Austin P and Yale, they just opened up in the last year a Chick-fil-A, a Starbucks, and across the street they just opened up another Dutch Brothers coffee place, which is another national chain that's coming in over there. So that only tells me one thing: they believe that the development and the growth of 38128 is going to be there, and that those tenants and those folks in those neighborhoods can afford to buy Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, and coffee.
That's the population.
Sure enough, I've been over there in the morning time, and they're people in the drive-thrus, or they're moving it. So 38128, great area to invest. If you can find anything in there, we always are in support of 128. All right, we're going to have the Bartlett. We got 3 Bartlett zip codes. This is another really good area to invest in. We can usually only find rentals in one of the 3 zip codes here. But I lived also in 134, grew up in 128, moved to 134. So you can see how it just kind of progressively moves out east. But at the end of July of 2025 in 38134, we'll start there. At the end of 2025, we had 43 sales, 1,700 square feet. The average price was $221,000. At the end of July 2026, 42 sales, same pace. A little bit larger square foot, 1824, and the price has gone up a little bit at $230,000. I think you can get into 381. We gave you an example of the average, and that's a good-looking house over there on Steuben. But you can get into Bartlett 38134, a little less expensive than the 240 range, 230 range. You can find some 175s to 200. Bartlett has its own school system. It's on police and government and on everything for Bartlett. So it is a more desirable location than 38128 and 127. But you can also see the prices are reflected.
Yeah, I think, again, this is the history lesson today, that the way the population shifted and grew, and this house is built, these average houses were built in the 70s, late 70s, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, average square foot of 1,775. So it's a little bit bigger as you've continued to move east. The population of 43,000 and the income has increased. So to your point, when you take that income over that size of house, that you get the rent at 16, pushing $1,700. And you just said you could probably get a rental in there for $175,000 to $200. So that's about that 1% rule. Again, that's a rule of thumb that you're going to see in these neighborhoods as you go around the city. The rental neighborhoods at that 1% rule.
Yeah, but they got great schools right there.
Yes.
I mean, you're centrally located at 240. You can see right there. So, I mean, you've got really easy access to the city in 38134. It's a little older. It's the original Bartlett, right?
Yep.
38133 and 35 there grew and came about later on. But 38134, Stage Road. What's the road where Freeman Park is? Stage and Bartlett Boulevard.
Sycamore View.
Yeah, it turns into Bartlett Boulevard.
Yep.
That's right. Sycamore View, Bartlett Boulevard, right in there in that area corridor. So if you find anything in 38134 makes sense, Burr, Flip, anything, we definitely approve. Staying in Bartlett, 38135. This is a little bit newer portion that they call it the Ellendale section of Bartlett at the end of July. This is just an extension, newer, nicer, bigger, same schools. At the end of July of 25, we had 31 sales, 2,054 square feet, 336,000 was our average price. At the end of July of 2026, just a few weeks ago, we had 40 sales. Pace picked up a little bit. Square feet went way up. I can almost tell you what that's from. 313, we went down a little bit in our price, and then a little bit down in our square foot. I'm guessing, I'll do some research if anybody has any specific questions. I'm guessing there's some new construction neighborhoods that popped up. And if they popped up and started selling a pocket of houses and it dominated the sales, that would be the reason why that's jumped up so much.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, again, this area, as Dean said, 38134 was the original Bartlett, its own municipality, its own school district, its own codes. And we talk about like the sidewalk and the different things with code enforcement out there.
Tell that what that is.
I mean, they have their own code enforcement, and you have to have the sidewalk done at every sale or something like that.
It can't be cracked, an open crack. You got to fix it.
You got to fix it before the sale, before new purchase. So the population went north, and so these houses are average built in 1990. It's a 3-bedroom, 2 bathroom, which similar 3.2, but it's a bigger house than a newer house. It's about 25 square feet. The income was not quite as high as that 61,000, and the population is not as high. So you're looking at rents in that $1,400 range. But I think what you're seeing versus the higher dollar per average is you got some good big owner occupant houses out there, and then you've got some rental houses as well.
In the northern part of 38135, it gets real county-ish.
Yes,
open land. That's what's dragging the income part.
But that's what's bringing up that sales price or the average price, where you're also seeing that rent in that $1,400 range.
That's right. Anything in 38135, it's typically a flip. It's tougher for rentals, but 38135, if you can find it, Ellendale, we love that area. 3133. I think this one is even newer. This is the newest section of Bartlett. They call it Brunswick area of Bartlett. Just again, another extension of 38133 and 38135 and developing as the further east you get. At the end of July of 25, we had 17 sales, 1,600 square feet, 275 is our average sales price. At the end of July of 2026, we had 33 sales, 1,904 square feet, 299,000 basically. So a little different price per square feet, which tells me that new construction has entered into 38133. Doubled in sales, square feet went up, and the price went up. Yeah,
and that's still 22,000 people that are out there. It's pushing towards the county. It's pushing towards the edge of Bartlett, into Arlington, Lakeland, which we'll talk about next. And they're making $82,000, so it's a highest income I think we've seen. But that house is 1991, so it's the newest built house. So it's a couple thousand square feet, a 3.2. There are only 7,000 parcels out there. So.
Yeah, typical property there on Deer Glade. I mean, that's just that's what they built. There's some newer options, but that's a typical what the majority of the property is.
It's super convenient. It looks like it's a ways from downtown. If you're just looking on this map, if downtown is kind of where you see that 69 by the river, but that Interstate 40 will take you all the way down real fast.
Yep.
That Interstate 40 takes you all the way up to Nashville, and that 38002 we're going to talk about. There's a lot of stuff happening there. Blue Oval, which was is the Ford plant, is just past that 38022. There's a Buc-ee's going out right there. So there's a lot that's happening
that direction.
But which is kind of north and east of there.
Yeah.
So it's just a great central location, not to mention headed south from there.
That's right. Yeah, anything you can find in 38133 from a flip, if you can find rentals, great. But anything flipping, for sure, we love this area. All right, moving to Arlington, huge area. Really tough to find rentals.
Yep.
Their own municipality, police, schools, all of it. Really desirable from a residential location. As you can see, you just keep going further east and the development gets newer and newer. At the end of July 2025, we had 74 sales, 2,700 square feet. $471,000 was our average price. End of July of 26, 69 sales, basic same pace. 2,769 square feet, basically the same. And then 487 with just a little bit of an increase in our sales price. I'm not shocked with those numbers at all. Arlington is an excellent location to raise a family in. We don't have many rentals in Arlington. They have not developed small housing that would maybe turn over into rentals later. This has been larger square foot homes that have mainly been priced out of long-term rental.
Yeah. I mean, you can just say that, look, the year build is 1999. The average square feet is 2,675, which is right with what we've seen in the sales. That, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Based on the income, people living out there paying a third of their income in rent per month is $3,000. So it's just a really desirable high income area. And what we were just talking about in 38133, you can see here, I-40 meets I-269, and I-269 is newish. In the last decade, they've built, you can go back and look at 40 and 240, which was this loop, kind of like an inner loop in the city. And now there's this huge outer loop that goes up from the northwest at the river all the way around the county, down south at the kind of the eastern edge of the county, and then back around in DeSoto County, Mississippi, which we'll talk about. So that has seen a lot of population growth out. Yeah. And so that's why 38022 has been so desirable, because it's gotten really, really convenient, because you can get anywhere through those road systems.
38002.
38002.
All good. Love it. Well,
sorry about that.
As many of these
I
as
don't
we're
even
going
know what
through.
I said. 388-741.
Niner. There's a niner.
I got a niner in there. There you go.
Arlington's awesome. If you can get out to Arlington and find anything to invest in, we obviously will support that. All right. Cordova, moving to an extremely rich investment pocket. This has been popular. There's 2 Cordova zip codes, 38016 and 018. We'll start with 016. This has been hedge fund playground. There's been a lot of hedge fund purchases in Cordova.
Yep.
They've sold some. They've kept some. Very, very popular investor area. Reasoning why: 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, all over the place. Brick. I was cracking my teeth in real estate in 2001, and I temporarily sat in a subdivision for a builder in 38016, and half of this area. Like, it's amazing to see what has developed in these Cordova areas since then. But at the end of July of 2025 in 38016, we had 49 sales, 2,200 square feet. 290 was our average sales price. I'm here to tell you, when they first started buying, the average sales price wasn't 290.
No.
It was much lower when they started buying these. At the end of July of 26, we had 61 sales, same square feet, basic same price. This is Cordova stayed as consistent as the day is long, from a pricing standpoint, an investor standpoint, and just an overall desirability. Germantown Parkway runs
I was going to say there's a north-south road that's between kind of the inner and outer loop that just runs parallel to them, called Germantown Parkway. And it's got everything. I mean, it's got the big mall, the mall that still exists, and all the shops. And it'll take you all the way down into Germantown, which is the most high-end shopping we've got in Memphis. So that you got 50,000 people living out there making over $75,000. which is that $2,000 rental we were talking about, only 14,000 parcels. But those parcels, those houses were built in the late 90s, 3.2 and a half average, and over 2,200 square feet. And as you said, that was the poster child property for the hedge funds, the big Wall Street groups that came in the 2015s to 25s and bought up a lot. And now they can't buy anymore. They're limited based on legislation, federal legislation. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But there are a lot of hedge funds out there. Great. Because of all the data that we just talked about, the convenience, everything's there. It's a great investment.
Tenant base loves it because of kind of how you started it. There's everything out there.
Everything.
On Germantown Parkway, that's a 6-lane highway. As a kid, I used to take 64 and 133 right there at Stage Road in Germantown. It was a blinking light.
Right. I've heard
now
stories.
it's a 6-lane
massive
interchange thing. It used to be a blinking light, and then it was 2 lanes all the way to Germantown. 2, just there all the way to Germantown. Now it's 6 lanes all the way, but they have everything: schools, shopping, restaurants, everything. So you will be able to find rentals in Cordova. You'll be able to find flips in Cordova. So I would encourage you to take advantage of 38016. Moving second one in Cordova. This looks like a great house here, 320 Fleets Hill. It's a perfect example of what you would find in 38018. Basically a mirror image of 38016, a little newer, a little bit nicer. But that's only because they just built them later. It was essentially the same home builders. They all just moved and just kind of migrated as they began to sell out in 38016. Same pluses and minuses as 38016, Germantown Parkway, everything that, this is essentially identical to 38016. But the end of July of 25, we had 35 sales, 2,000 square feet, 319,000. At the end of July of 26, we have 49 sales. So it's picked up a little bit larger, 2285, and then 325, 168 is our average sales price.
Yeah, you said it. It's very similar. It's closer to in the South. You're going to get to those Germantown zip codes. So the super high end shopping. Think Apple Store.
Yeah.
Down in the zip codes right below, so you're a little more convenient there. But then as you go north on Germantown Parkway back into 016, you get closer to the mall and some of that interstate and some of the more traffic there. So it's super convenient. Similar demographics, income about the same, population about the same, rent about the same, parcels year built. Maybe I think it's a year newer.
Yeah.
So really, really similar. You wouldn't even, if you lived in Cordova, you wouldn't even know there were 2 zip codes.
Until you started to get to the southern part of 38018, you wouldn't notice any difference. There's some nice stuff at the bottom there moving towards Germantown, but you would have no idea. Right. Yeah, Germantown Parkway runs right through it. Anything you can find in 018, and you can get in there cheaper than $320,000.
Yes.
There's 200 and 220s and 250s in there that you can, make sense from a rental standpoint, flipping all day long in Cordova.
And potentially a 1%er kind of rule of thumb.
Yeah. Probably less likely in 018 than 016.
Got it.
So, but you can still get it out there in Cordova. So love 38018, whatever you can find there. Let's get it. All right.
Here we are.
Okay, moving to Germantown, Tennessee. I went to high school here. Super familiar. Basically, no rentals. Very, very limited opportunity for rentals. Flipping is really relevant. Now, I will tell you this: if you're a high-end rental person, and the absolute most of a percentage return is not number one on your list, a long-term thought process of parking some money, Germantown would be great.
So you get you'll get the cash flow, you get all the tax benefits, and you'll probably get more appreciation over the long term.
Yep. $300,000 to $400,000, renting from $2,500 to $3,500. Excellent tenant base.
Yep.
That they will take care of the property. I would advise, if that's your model and your plan, Germantown is fantastic. I do stay away from one product there. They build box on box in the 70s in Germantown, and all the bedrooms are upstairs.
Yep.
I would not get those, but outside of those don't rent very well because everything's up. I would love to find a rental in Germantown. At the end of July in 2025, there's 49 sales in Germantown, 2,700 square feet, 520,000. at the end of July of 2026. 46 sales, 2,800, 488. The dip in price is not a shock just because of the market and the economy we're in, but the pace and the type of house has basically stayed the same.
Yeah, and it's a smaller population, 25,000 people making $150,000. So it's a $3,000 plus, which is I think their number you gave.
Yeah.
Only 8,000 parcels. But if other than Cordova, this is the newest kind of built houses. So back in the 80s, like you talked about, this is where the outskirts of Memphis, the suburbs, when they were going straight out Poplar Avenue.
That was way out there.
Way out there, but straight out Poplar Avenue from downtown Memphis gets you to Germantown.
Yeah.
And those are 3,000 square foot houses, 4 2.5s, which you can see there. So just really high end, really nice. Hard to get rentals out there. Hard to build a cash flow and BRRRR portfolio in Germantown, Tennessee.
If you're the investor who parks money and the absolute max return on your dollar is not necessarily what you're shooting at first, Germantown would be ideal.
Yeah.
Asset collection, appreciation, a really strong rental market.
Great.
And I do have an investor base that's for that.
Yeah, and we Crestcore Property Management as a show sponsor, they manage property out there. We do.
Yeah.
So
anything you can get in 38138, likely flip, but anything you can, we'll take it. Next in Germantown, second zip code is 38139. An extension, newer. What do we all do when something works and it's new? Well, let's build bigger and more expensive. So that's all that happened. At the end of, we love this area. Very, very tough to make a rental work.
Yep.
At the end of July of 25, there was 37 sales in 38139, 3,500 square feet, 638,000 was our average price. At the end of July of 26, we've had 32 sales, 3,700 square feet, 675. With a little bit of an increased price per foot. I'm not surprised at any of those numbers.
Yeah, this is 17,000 people, so it's even less than the other Germantown, and it's 175,000, which is even more. Yeah. So it's less people making more money, high rents, less parcels, built newer, 4 3s. Average is 3,800 versus the 3,100, 3,200 for the other Germantown 3,838. So great. Just
residential,
high income area, very desirable, hard to make a rental.
Yeah. If it's hard to find one in 38138, it's going to be even harder to find one in 38139.
Yeah. And again, we talked a little bit about this as growth has continued to move out. As 269 came in there, it's just made things a lot more convenient. You can't see on here, but there's also a road called 385. It's a highway that connects 240 to 269. And it's really close to the south part of that Germantown and gets you to Collierville, gets you to North Mississippi. So it's super convenient.
Great. All right. Anything you can find in 139, we definitely would take. Moving on here, Collierville. If you didn't like the news for rentals in 3138 and 3139, you're going to like it less here. High desirable location, county, great schools, own municipality too, like Germantown and Bartlett and Arlington. You likely will not find. You know what? I take this back. There is a part of Collierville in town where there's some older homes. If you, by chance, find one of those for sale, it will rent. It will be a honey hole. It would be the greatest thing ever. They just don't come on the market. Yeah. You can make those rentals work. I wouldn't count on it. It's like, hunting for one fish in a huge pond. So at the end of July of 2025, Collierville had 68 sales, 2,900 square feet, 552,000 was the average. At the end of July of 26, we had 83 sales. Not surprised with new construction picking up, 3,100 square feet, and then 602. None of that is shocking. Beautiful home there on right. You can tell how it kind of bends in the back there. I mean, we got really nice properties there. No rentals, virtually none. I mean, I don't remember the last time I sold a Cordova rental. I mean, a Collierville rental. I don't remember. I've had a few, but not many. But anytime you can flip or find something out there to make any kind of sense, it's great.
You can see the data. It speaks for itself. 50,000 people making 130 plus, renting for 3,000 plus. It's only 16,000 parcels. Average built in 95. So, and it's going up. I mean, they're still building out there, and it's
will continue to rise.
4 3 average 3,100 square feet. So big. I mean, that house you used on Wright Road is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what you're competing against. So you're not getting the rentals. People want to live out there. Its own school district, all the things, own municipality. So
Collierville's great. If you can find anything, good luck. Love it though, from a flip or anything like that standpoint.
Yeah.
Just not necessarily something. That's why we kind of breeze through these. So
Yep.
if you have any questions on any of these areas, I'm happy to take a little bit deeper dive. We just don't find rentals there. We do find them in 38125.
Okay.
And there's just some bonuses here. So we're getting a little bit more into the meat of the investor areas.
Yes, sir.
I like this zip code. You can get no city taxes in some areas of 38125.
38125 Southeast Shelby County.
Yes, I really cut my teeth in new construction over here. Buckingham Farms, I bet I sold 300 houses there over the years. I mean, Buckingham Farms was a great subdivision for the Harris family. We really kicked off our real estate career there and learned how to sell houses. But Winchester, Riverdale Road, you're going to get FedEx employees. Shelby Drive runs right through there. Interstate access 385 is really easy access there, so you can get into the city quickly. Larger homes, not as many rentals in 38125. You can find them and make them work. This is a good residential location as well, but we're beginning to come off of the Cordova, Germantown, Collierville residential heavy, and we're slowly coming back into rental heavy. So 38125 is residential, but it's also a good rental pocket. At the end of July of 25, we had 27 sales, 2,000 square feet was our average, and then 276,000 price. In the end of July of 26, we had 23 sales, 2,800 square feet. That's bumped, and then 327,000. There has to be a new construction element in that area because those houses have been built for 20 years. So there's a new construction element that has come into there that's raised that by 50,000 and by 800 square feet.
Yeah. In fact, like you said, the average now is 30 years from 95 to 26 here that they were built at about 2,300 square feet. So they're about 2.5 on average. There are only 11,000 parcels out there. People, a little less than 50,000 people making $90,000. So the income is coming down a little bit, which has got that rent in that $2,500 range. And as you'll see, as we work our way back east on the south side of south border here of Shelby County, the houses are going to start getting older and smaller.
Oh, we're coming back in.
Yeah, they're getting older and smaller, which is where the opportunity for rentals in our market has always been.
Yes, with
the older housing stock that we have versus the newer that's out in the east. So you'll see that as we go.
That's a classic Charleston Run Cove there, 3-2. 2-car garage.
Looks great.
They're all over the place in 38125.
Yeah.
So if you can find anything there, flipping is more popular, but you can definitely find some rentals in 38125. And keep aware that you can run the numbers differently without the city taxes.
Yeah.
38141, we'll keep moving. Hickory Hill, as you can tell, we're going back into the city a little bit. Hickory Hill is going to be a more popular rental spot. FedEx employees. A lot of homes I like to preface a lot of this, the product that you find there. There's a lot of homes in 38141 that do not have a garage. They rent.
Carport right there,
They
maybe?
rent I put one on there.
Okay.
They rent just as well. There's a market for it. It's closer into the city. You're starting to get some of the advantages that are not out in 125 in Germantown and Cordova. You're beginning to get back. Yep. Closer into the city. So in 38141, I own several here. I really love the zip code. So if you can, I have the single family attached homes here. Okay. So that we see some of those. So I want to make sure I mention that. I really enjoy those. Yeah. They're performing really well for me. There's a pocket in a tenant base that does not want a yard. They want something small. So in 38141, they have those single family attached homes. So anything you can find there, tenant base is strong. What we love to make rentals work there. At the end of July of 25, 24 sales, 1,463 square feet. 163,000 was our price, 112 a foot. Let's see, at the end of July of 26, same pace, same square feet, a little bit higher price. There's probably no indicator of any kind of new construction or anything. That's just that market. The demand for rentals is there. So seeing a little bit of an increase does not shock me, but because of the demand over there. Near everything, 385 runs right through it. good tenant base.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking 25,000 people living over making 70 grand. So that's a $1,900 rental, which is a sweet spot for Memphis. Probably had a little as far as a nice rental. 8,000 parcels built in that mid 80s. And that's about 1,500 square feet, which corresponds right there with those sales and what you're seeing. One thing the map, we'll see when we get farther in this, it's a little deceptive because it looks like you're at the bottom of Shelby County and you're kind of far from downtown, but you are right below that is North Mississippi. And that is probably the most prosperous part of Mississippi. The things that have happened in North Mississippi, all the way from Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch. So you got every kind of shopping you could ever want that runs along Goodman Road. And Goodman Road runs parallel to the Shelby County border.
Yes. Lots of homeowners, tenants come south to do some
south to do shopping. So so super convenient. So don't let it deceive you on that map. There's tons of, that's a super convenient location for Memphis, even though it's south, because there's really there's a state border, but as far as us, it's super easy. You don't have to show your passport.
Basically a suburb of Memphis.
It's a suburb of Memphis. It's super easy to go back and forth.
Yeah. So anything we can find in 38141 makes a lot of sense, and don't be intimidated there with no garages. It's a product that rents just as well there. All right, keep moving. 38115 Hickory Hill, just north of 38141. Even nicer, even better, even closer in. Tenant base to me in 38115 is a little better than 38141. Equal. If I say better, maybe not, basically the same, but, Hickory Hill, the product seems to be a little cleaner there, a little nicer. This property on Knight Arnold, that's a great street, and popular for tenants. FedEx employees for sure, city workers. I mean, 38115, if you can get anything in there to make sense, I'm all for it. At the end of July of 25, we had 24 sales. 1,654 square feet, 140,000 was our average price. At the end of July of 26, 23 sales, 1,700 square feet and 124. So we went down, not a shocker. In here, I think that could be fluctuated with the products that are available, but that Knight Arnold is a typical house you'll see there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a few, the population is greater in 115, and it's a little more concentrated. The income is comparable, but the rents have come down because the income is a little lower, which is make that rent a little lower. 6,000 parcels, which is about the same. But they're older houses.
Yeah.
But they're well taken care of. Like you said, they got the garage right there. It's a 3.2. It's an average 1,500 square feet. 1,700 square feet, excuse me. So they are a little bigger than the 1,500 square feet in 141. So you get that convenience factor, a little bigger house for maybe a little better, maybe you get a little more rent.
Probably a little higher.
A little bigger house for the rent.
Put it this way, if you tell a tenant you got one in 115 and 141, they're probably going to say, well, let me see the 115 first. If they can afford them both. It's very similar locations, but you do get you can catch the garage in 115 that you might not in 141. So just a little bit more desirable. But whatever you can find in Hickory Hill, 38115, we are behind that. All right, keep moving. Oakhaven, Parkway Village, 38118. So this is where, Douglas, if an investor comes to me and says, hey, Dean, know nothing, let's play it safe.
Okay.
I only have a budget of 120 or so, 30 or 40 grand. Take me to where I need to be. I typically start in 118.
All right.
Okay. The reason being, when they developed this, so let's give a little history lesson. When we went back to 127 and we talked about the development, similar time frame, they were going south.
Correct.
In 116 and developing Whitehaven. Elvis Presley lived there. We're about to hit that. 118 was the suburban build from 116, similar to what 38128 is. You can
correct.
Geographically it matches. So one-story homes, bigger lots, because if you think, just go back 50 years, this was the county. So let's get some land. So some of these houses have a yard, have a lot, have a something to where your children can be. You can fence in backyards here. FedEx, our airport is right here. A ton of FedEx employees here. I like to play the averages. I've used this example 100 times, but if you're a FedEx employee and you drive a tug or something, I mean, you got to pass a drug test. You got to be a pretty good employee, which I hope translates into a pretty good tenant.
Yeah.
So 38118, I own several in this area. I would buy one today if it makes sense. So 38118, I've got no problem with. At the end of July of 25, we had 40 sales, 1,432 square feet. Our average price was $125,000 and then $88 per square foot. At the end of July of 2026, we have 29 sales, 1,329 square feet and $115,000. None of that shocks me. Slow down with interest rates, slow down with investor buying due to those interest rates doesn't shock me at all. Pricing going down also doesn't shock me because we're getting more sharkier buyers in some of these areas. So none of that shocks me. Oakhaven 38118 in my book, really great place to invest.
Yeah, it's kind of to your point, it's a little older than 115 and 141 because as the population moved, it went east. The population went east. So as we go back west, it's older. So it's built in the late 60s, 1.5. It's 1,400 square feet. And based on that income for that 38,000 people, you're talking about $1,100 rent. So it's a little bit more what would I'd say our average rent is in Memphis, that $1,100, $1,200 rent on average. So
that used to be $850 and $900.
That used to be $850.
Now our average is $1,112. It's good. Anything with 38118. We manage. Crestcore manages a lot. I own several. I mean, it's just it's an investor pocket. All right, keep moving. 38116. We can get our sideburns on. This is Elvis land. We've got Elvis Presley Boulevard, Winchester, Shelby Drive. Maybe the first rich area. Maybe in the 70s, it was the first high-end suburban area because you can go through Whitehaven and you can get some 3,500 square foot houses.
Yes.
Brick, big yards, nice houses. I mean, Graceland isn't, wasn't necessarily in that area, but it was some of those. But back then it was, it was considered a whole estate and all of that. But 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. I really like Whitehaven, like a lot. I've got several in Whitehaven. This is a typical property brick that you'll see there. We can get garages there. I chose the carport because you can see both. But at the end of July of 2025, we had 35 sales, 1,800 square feet, $159,000 basically at $87 a foot. At the end of July of 26, we had 26 sales, 1,700 square feet, average 150, dropped a little bit, but our price per square foot went up. Very typical numbers. Not at all worried or thinking that this area is not going to continue to stay strong. You can find $1,700, $1,800, $1,900 rentals in Whitehaven. There's some Old Hickory Boulevard, or not Old Hickory, Old Hickory Drive. There's several over there. Lochinvar. There's a few where you can get some larger homes and some higher end rentals. I support Whitehaven.
It's super stable. Like you said, when the growth went out Poplar Avenue, it went south and it went north. And going south, it hit the border and then it went what we just said. So you're coming back. So now we're in the 1960s. This is in the average built the early 60s. And this was around 1,800 square foot, 3.2s. So bigger house, 1,800 square feet, 3.2. It's a nice $1,200 rent based on that $45,000 income. So convenient, right on I-55, take you into North Mississippi, take you to downtown, get on 240, take you around. So easy, convenient, solid, a lot of community pride in Whitehaven, a lot of shopping, a lot of good stuff happening down there. As you mentioned, Elvis Presley's Graceland is there. Still over there. I got to tell you, I went to the vigil just the other night. Every year they get together and just have an Elvis week and just celebrate all things Elvis. It's a lot of fun. Next year's the 50th anniversary. So if you're listening and you are investing with Crestcore, Dean's helping you, and you want to come to Memphis, come August 15th. That's a Sunday. And
50.
It's the 50th anniversary of his passing. And so it's a really nice time. If you're an Elvis fan, it's a lot of fun. If you come, hit me up, because I promise you I'll be there, and we will have a great time.
I love it.
In 38116.
That's right. I own there. I'll continue to buy in 38116. So really enjoy that market. Good barbecue there.
Yes,
as well in 116.
It's a good tourist destination as well. So it caters to it.
Big time. 38109, our biggest geographic location, as you can see here, it really balloons up. This is one of the locations where I do have a kind of a rule similar to 38127. If it's west of Highway 61 in 38109, I pass for the very same reasons, because you can see where the river backs up to it. Low commerce and jobs, and just not a whole lot going on. The further away you get from Highway 61, 3rd, what are they calling it now? They call it Willie Harrington Drive yet? I don't know. Okay. But anyway, 61 that goes right through there. West is a big no-no for me. East is great, actually. Really good. The further you get and the closer you get over to 116 in there, it's still considered Whitehaven.
Yes.
So there's some parts of 38109 there as you're looking that bumps up and hugs up to 38106 or 116 that is still considered Whitehaven. And those are great rentals. I've got several over there. Yep. I don't mind this southern area or southern zip code at all, as long as we are east. Make sure I say that right. Yep. East of Highway 61. At the end of July of 2025, we had 65 sales. Makes sense because of the space. 1,177 square feet, 92,000 was our average price at 75 a foot. At the end of July of 2026, we had 44 sales. Drastic slowdown. 1,100 same product, basically selling, but we've just slowed way down. Makes complete sense. Market has slowed down. Rates have stayed, where they're at. I'm not shocked at all. There's no hidden negativity with 38109, other this is just market driven. It's just slowed down. I would buy in 38109 today. We source them all the time and send them out as long as you're east of 61. Yeah,
and I'll comment on that in a second after I give some data here. 44,000 people making 37,000, so a little less income, which makes you at about $1,000 a rent per house. It's a 3.1.5, so it's a little smaller than those 116, and it's 1,350 versus 1,800 square feet, built in the same mid-60s. So there's controversy in 38109.
Big time.
38109 is where SpaceXAI, where Elon Musk and X and XAI at the time built their big data center. Yep. That they put tons of computers in there, and it's controversial with the turbines and the sound it's making and the part of town. But as much controversy as there is funds going back in from this, the income that is generated. This is controversial as the data centers are, and this one specifically, they are taking the Shelby County and Memphis specifically is taking a portion of the income generated from those data centers and putting it back into this community, into infrastructure, into other things happening. So there, it is west of 61. And
it's got to be. They need the water.
They need the water. It's right by the river, but the money generated from that is going back into the zip code. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in 38109 over the long term.
Another reason why you should stay east of 61. Yeah. 38109 is great. I mean, a lot of money coming in. I don't, how you might feel a certain way about those things, but it is factual. That's what's going on down there right now, and you can see why. The river's right there. Yep. But this is a good example here on a Maumee. It's a higher end one, but I wanted you to see what you can do in Burr. If your average price there is 91, that means we're seeing some $50,000 and $60,000 sales prices for some Burrs.
That's right. That's exactly how come you're seeing that. You can go in there and buy that $50,000, put 50 in it, and you got a $150,000 house.
That's exactly right. So wanted to make sure that I had that portion of 38109.
Looks great.
Yeah, love that Westwood area. All right, let's keep moving. 38106. Now, one of our areas that we steer clear of. It's tough to manage in 38106. It's tough to own in 38106. It's tough if you're local. I have seen and heard some local guys making it work over there. But when I say they're local, I don't mean like they just live here. I mean, they're in those streets. They're driving. They're saying hello. They're keeping in touch. Everybody knows who the owner of the property is. So I do not send out houses in 38106. There are some new construction options that people are building there. Turnkey providers are going to try to take you there and show you that that's a good idea to buy a turnkey property there. I do not think that's a great idea. We can talk more about that later. But I try to stay out of 38106. I wish it well. It's a integral part of downtown. I hope there's a lot of industrial stuff over there. I just try to stay away from it from a long-term rental standpoint. At the end of July of 25, there was 28 sales, 1,300 square feet, $70,000, $71,000 was their average sales price at $52 a foot. At the end of July of 26, we had 38 sales, 1,399 square feet, $69,000 and 47 a foot. So, not the absolute worst, but it's just not someplace where I source deals.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see from the population, 22,000 people making $30,000 of income. I think that when you just look at the economic statistics there of 30,000 divided by a third of your rent, per month is $800. So that's the low-ish from what we've seen. That's the lowest of what we've seen so far. Built in 1946. I think that is the earliest built we've seen so far as we've gone around. So and averaging about 1,200 square feet on that 3-1. So yes, you got some built-in challenges. You're talking older houses, smaller houses, less income in the zip code. So it just makes for some challenges that we found. Just kind of said, maybe locals only. We've seen some locals do that, and that's kind of where they do it. So there are lots of other opportunities. We've talked about a lot of zip codes, and we'll talk about more. So a lot of other opportunities that it just might make more sense.
You're going to hear me say this for the next couple of zip codes. We have options.
We've got options,
and these aren't the only ones. So since they're not the only ones, let's go.
Look at all your options and go with where the opportunities are.
Try to stay out of 106 if you can. 38126, even bigger no. I don't source deals here. If you send me one, I don't recommend you buy it. It's been tough to manage. It's been tough to own. I'm about to explain to you why you see the sudden jump. But right below FedEx Forum, very, very small pocket by FedEx Forum they've developed. The majority of the zip code is super tough. South Memphis, we had in July. From July 25, there was one sale. 33,000. There's 3 sales at the end of July of 26. It's tough with 3 sales to really understand what's going on in that area. But the fact that there's been 3 sales in 6 and 7 months right now should tell you it's just not a lot of activity.
Yeah, it's 1,000 parcels. So I mean, there's just not many options over there. It's a small zip code. Only 6,000 people living there, and that's $31,000 of income. So another $800 rent area, built in the 60s, so a little bit newer than the 106, but still an old house, a smaller house in that 1,500 square foot range. So, which is not a lot of income to support the rent. So it's just a hard old houses that don't rent for much. So that makes it the challenge for out-of-state investors. So we kind of say, hey, just keep it with the locals.
Since you have other options.
Yes.
38114. Now, this has been one that I have historically said the same things about 38106 and 38126. Before we started this today, I told you I was going to soften my approach here a little bit on 114. I still do not source houses and send them out from 114. If you bring something to me that looks solid and we can see some activity around it, maybe. But I am not. I have other options in these areas. I'm not going to source them and send them out to you. This is locally, the investors have really been making it work over there. I would say this is an uptick from 106 and 126. Orange Mound is Melrose, real high pride, community pride over there. A lot of local Memphis legend rappers have come from Orange Mound in 114. 8 Ball and MJG, if you go way back into the rap game. But I Park Avenue runs right through there. Airways, lots of good barbecue and wing places there. One of my favorite restaurants. I mean, so 114 has some ups and some downs. If you're local or if you find a good solid brick house that's maybe in good shape, maybe we could consider that. But I've softened from a hard no to maybe if you're local, you can kind of make this work. So at the end of July of 2025, there were 40 sales, 1,210 square feet, 91,000 was the average price at 74 a foot. 2026, you can see we've got 29 sales, same square feet, price went up, and square foot price per dollar went up. Doesn't totally shock me because there's so much room for growth and improvement in some of these areas. Whenever the locals do start to take it over and they start to come in there and invest, this is kind of what happens. I am no longer saying hell no, but I am proceed with the most extreme amount of caution.
Yeah, it's only 20,000 people living there making 50 grand. So the rent's in that 1,400 range, which is kind of about average, as we've said. 8,000 parcels built in the 46, average built in 1946. So again, a little on the older side. Maybe significantly on the older side compared to all, we've talked 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that as we've gone around the city. So this is that 46 matches, I think, some of the oldest we've seen in that 1,300 square foot, 1.5. So older homes, smaller homes, but we have seen that now that in the past, it looked like you could get a little better than the 1% rule, but now as some things have changed, you're starting to get higher, still in a little better than the 1%. It's just the locals have spent a lot of time there. There's some folks, Core Lend, a show sponsor, they've helped some people do some stuff there. So it's again,
an investor
people can do stuff.
Yeah, you can.
You can do it.
It's just harder.
It's just harder.
And if you guys are leaning on me for safety and consistency, I tend to steer clear. So anyway, there it is, 38114, improving. Maybe next year this thing will be even better on our list. 38111. This is our largest zip code for diversity from a price standpoint.
From pricing diversity, that's right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because what I'm going to tell you here, we're giving you these averages, but never mind the 300 and 240.
Right,
that is brought up because there are Chickasaw Gardens and there's some part of old Memphis where it's old money, the oldest money. And we're talking about homes that have never been for sale because they've been passed through families and that sort of thing. So you're getting a little bit of a skewed number from 38111. You can get a $30,000 home that you might not ever buy in 111. And there's $3 and $4 million, $5 million, $6 million homes in 111 in certain pockets. So don't let these numbers skew you. I send out, just to give you a little bit of a description, Sherwood Forest in 38111 is a great area. One of my favorite Memphis restaurants, Pete and Sam's, is in 38111. So we went just last week. So this is an area of town where we'll be and hang out. I send out typically 80 to 175,000 in 38111. I will send out a 2-bedroom house in 38111. Okay. The only other area is 38122, which we haven't hit yet. I do think a 2-bedroom in 38111 rents really well. So again, you've got restaurants, shopping, University of Memphis is in 38111. What else am I missing about just that area? I mean, you've got the zoo. I mean, I think it's in 111 right on the edge. So there's a lot of stuff happening in 38111, but we had 70 sales at the end of July of 25, 1,800 square feet, 300,000. I'll breeze through this because this is just not really the indicator of an investor number. Same pace, 69 sales at the end of July of 26, 1,700 square feet. We dropped in price $240 with the price per square foot going down.
Yeah, I mean, it's 45,000 people making over $50,000. So you're looking at a $1,500 rental for those 13,000 parcels.
Yeah.
The average built in the 50s, right in 1949. So it's a 3, 1.5, and you're looking at about 1,575 average square feet, which is a little smaller than what you see there. Because I think, to your point, you do have $1 million homes that might drive up some of that square footage, and those are, you could probably get a 4,000, 5,000 square foot house
for sure
if you want to pay over $1 million.
Yeah.
Great location, like you said, U of M, Highland and Park, Highland, and Poplar, probably kind of right there in the center of it, and then just all kinds of great shopping,
Highland Strip, where all the
Highland
kids hang out.
Strip. I mean, the University of Memphis. I mean, maybe shout out to U of M, and they continue to put more and more money into that university, into that campus, into the surrounding area. They're always building something. Always,
they just bought the whole park 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and and they just redid the tennis center. We just held a major tennis tournament here, and the university, as investors know, the state of Tennessee is got a lot of tailwinds behind it. The state in general, and because of that, the state wants Memphis to do really well. And one of the things that is Memphis is the University of Memphis, which is a state sponsored school.
Yep.
So it has a ton of money going into it, and that will continue to go into it. So super exciting to be in 38111.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I graduated over there 2001, it was not the same.
No.
They have really grown and developed that entire area over there, and really excited to see the University of Memphis grow. I think they're going to end up buying housing south of the school. So if you own
doing all kinds of cool stuff over there.
So if you can find anything in 38111, I send houses out.
Liberty
there.
Bowl,
Reed just did the whole stadium.
Yeah, redid this whole stadium in 38111.
We got the Jerry Lawler's home over there, the Mid-South Coliseum. Is in there. Okay, hey, this is it. Ring the bell. This is ding, 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 ding. This is our top investment zip code. It's become harder over the years to make this work. Colonial Acres is right in the middle there. Park Avenue from 38111 extends out. If you are a University of Memphis graduate or a Rhodes graduate, this is an area where you might live. If you grew up in 120, 117 is a great location. But Colonial Acres, anything you can find in Colonial Acres, right below Park and just north of 240 there. Yeah. Excellent location for tenants, for rentals. The schools over there are good. The elementary schools over there are good. There's places of worship all over there. It's just all kinds of diversity. You're near the restaurants. I mean, anything that you want right over there, you can get. I mean, we're just 2 real streets over from it. So I really like 117. You will see me when I send out houses in the subject line, I'll write top investment zip code.
Okay.
Whenever we find something in 117. So at the end of 2025, July of 25, we had 64 sales, 2,200 square feet, average price of $400,000. I'm going to explain that in a minute. At the end of July of 26, we had 57 sales, 2,000 square feet, and 371,000, which is essentially the same. There are some higher end homes in 117. So you can get in when I say that it's the most popular from $120,000 to a $250,000 price range.
Okay.
Those lower 120s are going to need to be bird, but the higher end stuff. So we will float from an investment standpoint in the 100 to 200 range. If you want to flip and get into some other stuff, then you can do this. But that northern part of 38117 is a lot higher end. There's just a lot nicer stuff. A little bit similar to 38111 with the owner occupant. Only 25,000 people living there, but make it 60,000+. So you're talking about $1,700 rental, which I think is right in line with what you're saying. Yeah. Up to 2,000-ish, a little over. Yeah. 11,000 parcels built in 1960-ish. 3.2. And they're about 2,100 square feet. So it's a good size house, good 3.2, right? Just right down the road. Quince. That's exactly what you're
It's exactly what you're looking like with Quince, with the carport, because it was built in the 60s, 50s, late 50s. And just convenient, center everything close to 240. Oak Court Mall was a in-air mall or a enclosed mall. They've bought it and they're tearing it down, and they're going to redevelop all of it into higher end outdoor mall, mixed use, high end shopping. So it's a great zip code to invest in if you can find it.
3117, if you can get it, let's get it. I even send out houses that are a little bit below the 1% rule for the appreciation and the tenant base.
Yeah, and and like I said, stuff's happening. Like you said, there's schools in there that are, institution schools that are, private schools and public schools that are as competitive in the state.
Yes.
The White Station High School, St. Mary's High School, St. Agnes.
Christ the King.
Christ King, and then the St. Louis school. So there's a lot of schools. So there's a lot. What I say about that is like a community, top-notch schools that people want to live in those districts, so they can send their kids there, or send their kids live close enough to those schools.
That's right.
And those schools have been around. They're not moving anywhere.
No,
so it's like
forever.
this is a really stable zip code.
Anything you can get in 38117 will support it. Keep moving. 38119. A little bit outside the loop. Nice homes, suburban. Hey, if you were in 117, you want to get a little further out. 38119. A little more residential than rental. I get very few 119 houses, but I wanted to add it because we do see them. Lots of shopping, residential areas for years and years and years. So anything that we can find in 119, if it makes sense, let's grab it. At the end of July of 25, there were 40 sales, 2,100 square feet, right at $300,000 for an average price at $137 a foot. At the end of July of 26, we had 26 sales, same square feet, a little bit more, 321 for a price at about $150 a foot. Not shocked. I mean, it just would take with 26 sales, it would just take a few higher ends to bump that up. But anything you can find there, we as an investor are not going to float in 300. We'll be floating in the 175 to 250.
Yeah, it's a smaller population, 20,000 people, but they're making $90,000. So that's a $2,500 rent. It's only 6,000 parcels, built in the mid to late 70s, and it's bigger. It's a 2,500 square foot house, is 4.2. So just a little, like you said, a little more challenging to find a good burr rental. So a good 1% rental. So it's super convenient. Again, 385 runs right there between 240 and 269. So really good, convenient, but just hard to find. If you can find it, take it.
Yeah. Anything in 38119, take it if you can get it. Similar here, 38120, high-end East Memphis subdivisions, big, nice houses, very desirable, older money. People have been living there for a long time. Their parents lived here. They moved over here. Their grandparents lived over here.
Yep.
MUS, is MUS in there? No. Right around in that area, but you've got Walnut Grove runs right through 38120. So very, very, very nice, desirable location. Very difficult to find rentals. This will be a flip location. At the end of July of 25, we had 34 sales, 3,400 square feet average at $622,000. At the end of July of 26, we had 32 sales, 3,573 square feet at $725 at $200 a foot. So as you can see, it's going to be difficult to make a rental work.
Yeah, it's only 1,500 people and it's only 5,000 parcels. So they're making $120,000, which is putting that rent over $3,000. So the numbers just don't work based on the purchase price. The dollar per square foot is $200. It's tough. Built in the 70s, 4.3, great location. I mean, everything you said, great location. Really, if you think about Memphis, the center of Memphis, because you look at it as the county, is probably right there on that line on 240 between 38117 and 38120. Well, kind of where Poplar hits 240. Yep. Kind of by St. Francis Hospital and just
residential.
Just residential, but that's just about that's kind of the crosshairs of Memphis. Even if you find
a flip over there, there's a ton of competition. Correct. Yeah, like a ton of competition. So it's going to be tough in 38120. All right, 38122, not tough to find investments here.
No.
This is where we're sitting now.
Yep.
We're on Summer Avenue, and 38122 is a very, very popular investment location. Very large Hispanic community in 38122, high community pride. I own rentals here. You own rentals here. Lots of shopping and good schools. And just been around. This is just a Berclair. You'll see me talk about Berclair, but this is just a historically nice residential rental blue collar zip code, and you can find all kinds of deals in here, ranging from a $20,000 fixer upper all the way to something they're on Given here that looks really nice. At the end of July of 2025, we had 31 sales at 1,358 square feet, $147,000. In July of 26, we had 33 sales, 1,200 square feet. We have dropped in price over there, $116,000. I'm not totally shocked at that. just due to the variety of homes, the kinds of homes. There's some 2-bedroom, small 800 square foot houses over there. And then there's some 4.2s that are 1,700 square feet over there. So depending on what's moving at what time, I think could influence this area. I would not be discouraged. I'm not discouraged by the drop in price over there. That doesn't necessarily, to me, equate that area in that market is declining. I just feel like it's had to have been a different property type that has sold that has driven that down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there are only 9,000 parcels over there. They were built in the 50s, right at 1949. So they are older. They're older homes, 3-1s, averaging 1,250 square feet. People are making about $50,000 over there, so it's about $1,200 rental, which is about what you see.
It's about right.
Super convenient, like you've said before. Starbucks moved to 38122. Chipotle moved. Chick-fil-A moved. Planet Fitness moved. They're putting another 7 Brew coffee
Dutch
right
Brothers
here on
is coming
Dutch
here.
Brothers, and all kinds of big
chains,
national chains who do tons and tons of research.
Yeah,
put their roots down right here.
Yeah,
so it's worth noting.
It is worth noting, and we send out property all the time in Berclair. It's a strong rental pocket. If you can make it, not if, when you make it work, buy it. 38108 Jackson. So I'm 50-50 on this zip code.
Okay.
I own in 38108, but it's the southern part.
Okay.
One of the worst intersections in the city is in 108 at Hollywood and Chelsea. It's a very dangerous area over there. It's just a pocket I try to stay out of from an investor and from when I send them out. So the further north in 118, I think it gets a little dicier. If you're closer to that 38122 area, 112 area, I think you can be okay. Very blue collar. Jackson Avenue has every shop and thing that you could imagine on it. So a lot of businesses and industry over there. So there's just a lot of stuff going on in Jackson. Again, 50-50 on making it work. You can find some there. I own some there. So we will send some out occasionally in 38108. At the end of July of 2025, we had 46 sales, 1,064 square feet at $70,000, average square price at $67 a foot. At the end of July of 26, we had 22 sales, dramatically lower, 1,188 square feet at basically the same price. Other than just economy homes available for purchase over there, that would be the only thing that I would equate to that slowdown. Yeah,
there are only 6,000 parcels over there built in 1950. And their average, this is about as small as we've seen on average at 1,100 to 1. Yeah. So they're just smaller houses, and then the income to support the rent is lower. So they're smaller houses, which rent for less. Yeah. So, and they're older. It's just hard to make the numbers work. But again, we can see it, brick, 3, 1.5, whatever, and we can make the numbers work, and it's in the southern part. I'll send it out. Okay.
All right, 38112. We got the Rhodes College area, extremely nice houses, student rentals, if you can find them near the school. Rhodes is a private college here in town. It's been eternity, very nice area over there. I mean, that school, the architecture of those buildings over there are really nice. At the end of 2025 in this area, 38112, we had 21 sales, 1,639 square feet, right at $200,000 was our average sales price at $122 a foot. At the end of July of 26, we had 32 sales, 1,687. Basically, everything else is the same, 210 and then 123 a foot. So very, very, very solid area. Crosstown concourses over there. That used to be our old Sears building. They have since completely remodeled that whole building. There's long-term living there. There's short-term living there. There's shops and grocery stores and a radio station and offices. And it's just a really nice little area over there, but near Rhodes College.
Super cool. It's smaller than only 5,000 parcels, built in the 40s. So this is old. My wife's grandparents.
Yep.
First house she lived in was her grandparents' house. So that's like 5 or 6 generations into it now with our kids. And so we're there. So built in the 40s, right there. I think the Rhodes College, which you mentioned, super historic university, 2 Supreme Court justices from Rhodes College. So, I mean, this is a it's an institution. Again, like we kind of talk about what makes Memphis stable is some of these things, that deep roots. I mean, that's like a 200-year, 175, 200-year old school. So there's a lot in that little pocket there to make those, 17,000 people making $50,000. That's a $1,500 rental.
Yeah.
So
and you can definitely catch some student rentals over there too. Yeah.
Yep.
Really behind 112 if you can find something over there. Midtown. Love Midtown. Airbnb. If you're gonna buy an Airbnb in Memphis, you're gonna buy it here. Centrally located, everything, hipsters, everything. Alec is a Midtowner over there. Our guy here, our producer, he does such a great job with this. But
it's amazing.
Yeah, you've really, really cool shops. My wife and I eat there all the time. I mean, there's just so much fun. The communities over there are great. One of the cool things about Midtown I always mention is they do this thing every year, and Alec will whisper in here and tell me the name of it, but they shut neighborhoods down.
Yeah.
And they'll have bands on what's it called? Cooper Young Fest, and they'll have bands on private lots, and you just walk around, and I mean, it's a vibe for sure. So 38104 Midtown is just a great location, really good restaurants and all the fun stuff that you'd find in Midtown. At the end of July of 25, we had 35 sales, 2,000 square feet average at 308,000 at 157 a foot. At the end of July of 26, we had 40 sales, 2,100 square feet, 367,000. With a good increase in price per square foot. None of that shocks me. I mean, like that could go up and down just depending on what's for sale. That Harbor Avenue house is a prototypical Midtown home that's been here for 80 years.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Average year built 1928. That's average.
We're getting to be 100.
We're getting to be 100. This is the oldest zip code in the city, residentially. On average, only 5,000 parcels. People, 25,000 people living there making 50 plus thousand, so $1,500 rental. 3 about 2,100 square feet. So historic, cool, a lot of redone houses. I mean, you can see, really as the city moved out from downtown, there was a lot of wealth. I mean, these were beautiful homes. I mean, you can find million.
Just imagine what that looked like 80 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful. Some have been restored and historic. We see people flip the Coeur d'Alene, see some people flipping those houses, do some historic stuff, and really do some really cool, pretty stuff. St. Jude, which is internationally known, but kind of a hidden secret that it's here in downtown Memphis. They always run an annual marathon, and it pretty much, you run just about every street in 38104. And so it's really pretty. So super cool. Yeah.
Love Midtown. Love these areas. If you can find something, I usually send out a flip. There'll be occasional multifamily quads, triplexes we can find there.
Yeah.
So if we're looking for those, we can see those in Midtown. So really good info on 38104. 38107 North Memphis. This is going to be tough. We chose a nice home here that is on the right side of 240 there to put. So you could, that's near, it's going to be near Rhodes College as well. But anything west there of 240 coming down is going to be mostly industrial. So you're not going to have, I don't send out a ton of homes in 38107. At the end of July of 25, we had 18 sales, 1,400 square feet at 123,000. At the end of July of 26, we had 25 sales, 1,500 square feet, 137 at 90 a foot.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you kind of said you don't send out much. I mean, it's deceptive. It looks like a bigger zip code, but they're only 5,000 parcels. And they're built in the late 40s, mid 40s. So, and they're smaller, about 1,400 square feet, 3.5s. With the income, that population of 15,000 people are averaging 3,600 a year. That's about $1,000 rent a month that they're able to afford. So there's just not a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't get to see as much. Super limited. There you go.
What else?
But a convenient location.
Yeah.
So
38105 downtown.
Yeah, just north of downtown, just right by the pyramid.
Yeah.
St. Jude.
Virtually nothing from a sales standpoint. We put it on here because occasionally something will pop up, but you can see the numbers: 5 sales this time in 25, 3 sales this year. Same square feet, dramatically lower price because I'm assuming in 25 there was a new construction one built or something different. But with those few sales, these numbers aren't really concrete.
Yeah, 500 parcels. 500 parcels. I mean, I think 1,000 was at least we had seen before this. So this is the smallest, area. You can see, you can't hardly even see that on Alex map. And that map's beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
He's done an amazing job, but there's just not a lot of opportunity. St. Jude, maybe you could potentially find an Airbnb right there by St. Jude and by, the Pyramid. And so not much to say.
Bass Pro Shop. Downtown. Love downtown. Typical house you'll see downtown over, I would imagine that's in the Harbortown area, but it's tough to make anything work. There's really no rental opportunities. Our downtown would maybe be an Airbnb, a condo if you could find it.
Yeah.
At the end of July of 25, we had 18 sales, 1,700 square feet, 362,000. At the end of July of 26, we have 13 sales, 2,000 square feet, 440. So all residential, second homes for people if they want to be downtown. Just love being down there, but there's just not a whole lot of investor opportunity.
Yeah, 2,000 parcels built into 2000. So, a lot of Harbortown, Mud Island, on the river, really cool, really pretty.
Yeah.
Hard to find, maybe kind of like you said earlier, if you want to park some money or if you do a high-end flip. I don't know all the, high-end flip or a high-end Airbnb. Yeah. I don't know all the Airbnb rules that you'd have, but very downtown's cool. Downtown Memphis, they're always trying, they're opening a new museum that was out east is now moving downtown. The FedEx Forum's downtown. The Peabody Hotel is downtown. The Orpheum Theater.
Great
Beale
stuff.
Street's downtown. A lot of stuff is happening in downtown. So being adjacent to downtown with its opportunities could be pretty cool.
Yeah. Anything you can find, if you can flip or whatever, it'd be good. Rentals are going to be tough. Millington. Love Millington. Really like this area.
Yep.
I mean, naval base.
Yep.
Huge naval base up there. So the tenant base up there is really strong. Their own municipality, police, schools, all of the good things you would like. A little further out of the city, but a great rental pocket. I mean, those folks live and work up in those areas. So Millington, we wanted to add. You can flip here too. You can flip and find rentals.
Yeah.
So really enjoy Millington. July of 25, we had 25 sales at 1,500 feet, 256,000 at 155 a square foot. At the end of July of 26, we have picked up 47 sales, 1,635, 228,000. It doesn't shock me if people moving out of Memphis. I mean, like from a suburban standpoint necessarily. I mean, the rental part, I don't know that that's skewed from rentals. Those are newer construction builds that are driving some of that up. But you can see, I mean, the prices even went down a little bit. Yeah,
this is just north of downtown. I mean, just up 51. It's the northernest part of Shelby County. 385, 269. It all kind of connects out there.
Yep.
That we talked about earlier. 8,000 parcels built in the late 70s. 3.2. That's an average of 1,850 square feet, so a little bigger than that. But 25,000 people making over 1,500 rent. Justin Timberlake's from Millington. You always, if you can't say Millington without saying Justin Timberlake, that is one of our native sons that we're super proud of, and a lot of cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
Its own school system, its own municipality, and it's close to Tipton County.
Yep,
kind of like we've talked a little bit about North Mississippi. Not near as much activity, but that South Tipton and Millington, right around there. There's Chick-fil-A, there's Starbucks. I mean, all the stuff is happening right there. So it's desirable area.
And that naval base drives it.
Yep.
Love it.
There you go.
DeSoto County, Mississippi. We'll add some pictures here if they're not already up on your screen. I live in DeSoto County. Olive Branch is going to be a residential area. We're going to be in the 300 and up range in Olive Branch. It's going to be very difficult to find any rentals. You can occasionally get some, but they're in such demand. It just makes it hard to grab them. Southaven is a little different. We've got half of Southaven that is investable, meaning it's just higher end residential homes. They don't make any sense. And then right along that yellow line there, 55, there's some portions of Southaven where we have some affordable housing. I own a few over there in Southaven, right in that pocket. So you'll be in the 120 to 200,000 price range in that Southaven pocket. that divides 55. A ton of tenants work in the city and live down in South Haven. So there's a good rental pocket there right in that northern part. Horn Lake, top 15 in the nation from growth. It has really grown.
Amazing.
One story I love to tell.
I love this story.
It drives me crazy. I love telling it. So I started selling some investment properties to a few investors in 2010. Man,
if you could rewind the clock,
man, and
you wouldn't be sitting here, would you?
No, honestly, no.
Be retired.
No, 2 huge subdivisions in Horn Lake, DeSoto Village and Twin Lakes.
Yep.
And I mean huge, 1,000 houses or more, lots of activity. 3 bedrooms, 1 to 2 baths, some 2-car garage, some carports, but they're brick and they're loaded. In 2010, I could get on the MLS down there and search $0 to $50,000 and for all active houses in those areas, and there'd be 35 of them pop up. And they would all need about $25,000 in rehab. So you'd be all in around $60,000. And at the time, they were all renting for $850 to $900.
Great deal. Great deal.
Unbelievable.
Should have bought them all.
Should have bought every stinking one of them, because now they're all worth about $130,000 and they're renting for $1,300 and $1,400. Yeah. Same houses now. I don't mean they built a bunch of stuff over there. No. If you can find a rental in Horn Lake, you can still, and they make sense. Buy it. It rents well. It's got a really strong, I don't want to say odd tenant base because that makes it sound like I'm being derogatory, but it's a smorgasbord of tenants. I'll say that.
Yeah.
There is all kinds of tenants that live over there, all kinds of folks. Yeah. And FedEx, the casino is down in Tunica, Mississippi. I mean, you just get a ton of stuff in Horn Lake. But the growth with the national chains up and down Goodman Road that has been there has been unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Mississippi is a non-disclosure state, so we don't have the data that we do in Shelby County and rest of Tennessee.
Don't you be coming around here with all your data and stats,
right? So, but North Mississippi, tip of the sip, top of the sip.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it is,
folks. There's 3 suburbs of Memphis. That's all it is.
That's 3 suburbs of Memphis. So that there's an opportunity there if you get it. A lot of good if you can find it.
Yeah. Love DeSoto County if you can make it happen over there. Okay.
Whew. Can you believe it?
No. That was a humdinger. We usually do 20-minute podcasts. This was an hour and something, 20 minutes. Hour and 30. So good. This is our best zip code, or this is our best podcast every year. We really
this was our best zip code. You can break
this is the best one. Alex done such a great job on the graphics and stuff. So,
and the pictures you chose were amazing. The stats are awesome.
So any questions on any of this, let me know. Holler at us. We're going to break down this into the separate zip codes and all that. So if you have any questions, we're going to see you next time. We're going to catch our breath here after an hour and a half of this.
Great, man.
Thank you guys. See you next time.
Bye.